There's no place to escape to.
This is the last podcast.
On the left. That's when the cannibalism started.
What was that?
Welcome to the show, everyone. That's Marcus Parks. I'm Ben Kissel. With us, as always, to my left, there's a fella. He looks handsome today.
All right, get your Charleston shoes on. Today we're getting urban with the dancing flavors of what all the kids are into. We're going to go down to Harvard Square and smoke a jazz cigarettes with all of the best jazz musicians, the hip cats out there, the waggling knees and the big bowler hats. And I love the flair of what these kids got going on today, because I got to tell you, it ain't your mama's jazz.
That's right.
My name's Wilkie Renderson.
Wilkie Wenderson.
Oh, yeah, and I got all the touch of what all the urban youth are doing today with their long socks, and they're dyeing their hair with lye to it. It's super red color. It's
Wilkie,
amazing to see.
How long have you been in the radio game, Wilkie?
I've been in the radio game for 3 months, baby.
3 months. You sound more seasoned than that.
Yeah, I've seen it move from the guitar to the tuba, all the way back to the guitar.
Wow, all in 3 months' time.
Absolutely. Come on and get yourself some jazz. I hear that it's a good way to make your parents old knobbly knee.
Well, thank you so much, Wilkie. And, of course, that Wilkie character was played by
Henry Sobrowski, and today we have a very serious podcast.
Very serious podcast. That jazz music was not played on accident. Today we are discussing black serial killers, a very underreported group of serial killers.
Now, this is the thing. Again, everything we say here is from a character's perspective.
Right. Are you? So you're planning on getting racist?
No, I don't want to. Actually, there's really nothing to. What I've discovered in researching black serial killers for a while, we always kind of figured that there were not very many, because we're
that's
used
one of the
to,
greatest myths of all time.
It is a massive myth. These people.
What do you mean by these people? I'm talking about black serial killers. Okay,
They just
all right.
jump higher.
Yes, they stab harder.
But the thing is, I think what we've
Do you think
discovered
that they are better at killing?
No.
If you had to put Dahmer or a black serial killer
I just
together?
think the way history is now being framed is that what black people have brought to music, dance, art, acting, and sports.
Oh, everything.
We just happen to bring to serial killers.
Sure.
We just have the extra edge, extra flair.
Would you say that it's one of the last bastions of white pride is our ability to murder? Like we still have that, right?
Yeah. You could also the last thing that makes us scary.
Right,
you know what I mean?
right.
It's really the last thing that we're like, well,
or our ability to call a lawyer at a drop of a hat. Like that's scary, and our ability to stab.
That I know one, and then he'll work on the guarantee that I'll pay him afterwards.
Exactly.
Well, there are definitely less black serial killers than there are white serial killers in the United States. And I have two theories as to why that is. I think the first theory is that a lot of these people, from what I've researched, they kill within the black community.
Sure.
And a lot of them kill black prostitutes.
Right.
And, of course, it's well known that black homicides are
very
investigated.
underreported. Yeah.
They're
Extremely underreported.
Very,
you have no snitching policy as well.
No investigation, no reporting, and a lot of these women are black prostitutes who are on the lowest rung of police investigation.
And you think it's hard to find a white prostitute. I mean, that's why Joel Rifkin, the New York City serial killer, got away with killing countless prostitutes to the point where cops were just like, you ever notice the streets are there's just less prostitutes around?
There's just empty shoes lying everywhere and glitter dresses just cut up with scissors until masks. Someone's been wearing them like they're wearing a mask and called himself the Dark Spider-Man.
And that's what it takes to get to the attention if you're a white prostitute. So you can imagine how difficult it is if you're a black prostitute.
And the second reason why there are more white serial killers than black serial killers, this one's going to blow your fucking mind.
I can't wait. Let's blow it out.
There are more white people than black people.
Whoa, buddy! Leave the numbers at home. We're talking murder here.
We know how to leave the condom in the dresser.
That's right.
Thank you, Irish people. Yeah. I'm also going to put that out there. Thank you to Irish people. Thank you to Italian people.
Why are you thanking the Irish?
Because that's what they do. They fuck on piles of trash just out next to wherever their shillelaghs lay.
I love that we're talking about black serial killers and somehow you're racist against the Irish.
I'm just saying, let's put the racism where it belongs.
Yeah, on the Irish.
A bunch of hut people that live in the middle of a bog that just just make kids like it's their fucking job.
Thanks for
'cause
listening.
They don't got a real job.
Henry, can you not? They're a massive demographic for us. We love the Irish, and please continue to drink and be merry and enjoy
I
our
love
episodes.
the Irish people. This is not about Irish people. This is about black serial killers.
That's Yes. right.
We'll cover Irish serial killers later on, but basically just Irish serial birthers.
Right. I would also say, before we get into some specific people here, I think also the urban environment is a little bit more difficult to get away with multiple murders. You know, you tend to get like Joe Duffelbag, with that fella, the serial killer.
John
here.
Doe Duffelbag.
John Doe
Yeah.
Duffelbag, because he had a duffel bag in the picture. He got away with 3 tops because of all the surveillance cameras. If you're in Wisconsin or in Iowa,
You
you
got
can
isolated space
forever.
But actually, but there's an anonymity to
Ooh.
being in a giant city. Like
is
there
true.
a
Hiding
you can
in plain
hide-
sight.
You can hide much. When they talk about like one, just throw one of these out here. So one of the examples of a serial killer, we're going to cover. There's major ones that we're going to cover, and then there's like a bunch of tiny ones that are just to show you how many there are. There's a man named Harrison Graham who was operating in I believe it was the early 90s. Who was a serial killer who lived in a tenement house. Right now, you know, his thing was he was a very large man who grew up in the care of a prostitute. His mom was a prostitute.
Okay.
And he basically grew up in the projects for a long period of time.
It's similar to Richard Pryor's childhood, but this guy didn't choose comedy. He chose
And by the
murder.
way, this guy went from 1986 to 1987, which we will cover later on, is the golden age of black serial killers.
Really?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
He was in Philadelphia. He basically as just a quick rundown of Harrison Graham is that he had an IQ of 63. He created
Is that high or low?
That is crazy. Very low. Do you remember that? You don't remember Forrest Gump?
Yeah.
What was Forrest Gump at?
73.
73.
Forrest Gump was 73.
Yeah. So he
and this
wasn't
guy's a
even
63.
Yeah, he wasn't even.
your boy at 74 is average intelligence. Your boy is right below the line.
Wow. This
Yeah,
guy's a
did she
bit of-
suck that dude's dick
I
to get him
remember.
into school?
You got to get into college somehow.
Yeah. He was far below that.
Okay.
So he basically he created
Mom
an
always
alternative.
said
for-
life is like a box of bloody knives.
But that's kind of what it was like. He had a sort of tenement room
Sure.
just filled with dead bodies. He created an alternative persona called Marty that he wrote on the wall in blood, and that he basically was like, Lord told me I was done sinning, and I knew that I'm not supposed to have the hand of Gabriel, like saying like
Right,
weird
yeah.
shit, and he fucked up. He killed his girlfriend, which is kind of like how my retarded cousin, you know, got married and had a wife for a period of time, which is really fucked up. It's just
How are you equating these two?
essentially, I think when retarded people are together, it's kind of like a hostage situation for a little bit.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, okay.
You know,
yeah, I get
Henry
you.
Zabrowski, rules of life. Retards cannot love.
They can't. They just hug and they grab and they have a pure heart, you know. But it's
Right.
like if you gave a Saint Bernard hands and like crushing strength. But it's like
Well,
Harrison-
thank you to all of our retarded listeners as well. We love you very, very
I
much.
can't believe you're working iTunes, but I'm glad you're bumping our numbers.
That's right.
But he had a girlfriend for a little while that he strangled to death, and then he kept fucking the corpse, and then he would bring other women in there, and he'd be like, I knew I had to move the bodies when I get the new girl in there, so I take the body, I put it up in the ceiling, and then
Right.
they fall through the ceiling, and like he basically, when they found him, he had like 9 bodies in there that he had just been fucking and stuff for a long time.
And this was all in an apartment.
It was all in an apartment, and basically they found who he was because he rented the place, and then his mom was like, basically called him and be like, honey, Harrison, honey, you gotta come out and talk with the police. She's like, Mama, don't want to go to the steel room.
Right.
Don't want to go to the happy place. And they're like, no, Harry, no, and you have to come in. And they just literally found him standing next to a mailbox going like, I don't want to be arrested. Marty did it.
Right.
Oh, you know, and they arrested him, and then Marty, you know,
Was him.
Marty was doing, yeah, he was
Right.
Marty.
Yeah.
I love
My
that character.
God.
That character voice is very good.
Yeah, I like that too. That's very good. Yeah,
My
Sounds like
retarded black serial killer.
I think
voice.
I think
It's
that's about
fantastic.
right
Yeah,
though.
you
You know. Yeah, I know.
She just lied there, and so I took it as a yes.
But why not?
I
not?
looked at her pussy and I was like, "More, Marty, don't you do it, Marty." And then I just bit it off. I bit her pussy off.
If you mention pudding pops, you're close to a Cosby as well in there.
But that is just
That's
one.
good.
That is one example of a.
So women would
going
just go
along-
over there and bodies would just fall from the ceiling of this guy's house.
Yeah, it was nuts.
Yeah, and going along with the theme of victims, all of his victims were female addicts.
They were all
Okay.
addicts and prostitutes. He'd lure them over to the room with drugs and then fuck them and then strangle them and then keep fucking the bodies.
Yeah, I would say that this is probably not high on the detective's list of
No. Well, they
crimes to solve.
he was just hiding in plain sight. They literally just found it.
Yeah.
They just walked into. They were researching. They were investigating something else, and they walked into his project and were like, "What the fuck is that smell?" And then they walked past a door that had Marty written on blood on it.
Right.
And then they just walked in and found 9 bodies, and they were like, I mean, neighbors said nothing.
Very, very, very few of these killings were solved by police work. In fact,
Right.
some would argue one was solved by actual police work. The Grim Sleeper, and that was
One of the
only-
most famous.
And that was only after a huge expose by the LA Weekly. But we'll get to him later.
Right.
Almost all the rest of these are all accidents. Just these people fucking just getting reckless and, victims
Well,
escaping.
I mean, Dahmer was also an accident. I feel like it's very difficult to solve these sort of serial killer crimes.
Well, especially
very-
when because they're happening in private and they're
Yeah.
happening really secretly.
Like-
It's not like he's running around the street stabbing mailmen,
Yeah.
Right.
Not yet.
For example,
Yeah.
Anthony Soule, the Cleveland Strangler, killed
Right.
11 women. He was only caught after he brought a woman home, and she was able to escape
She
after.
had a camera on her head.
yeah.
Like
They were
he,
filming something for VHS 3, which is going to be really, really good.
he hit her, he choked her, he raped her, she passed out. He thought she was dead. She woke up. She ran out. She brought the cops back. They found 2 bodies lying on the living room floor, and then they started searching the house. They found 4 other women throughout the home, buried in a shallow grave in the basement. In the backyard, they found 3 more bodies and the remains of a 4th. They found a human skull in a bucket inside
That's
the
great.
house.
Telltale
Oh,
signs.
that's my head bucket. I call him Mr. Sprinkles.
Mr. Sprinkles, the bucket in the head.
He always tells me, stop doing what you're doing. And I'm like, well, no.
Shut up, Mr. Sprinkles. Not now, Mr. Sprinkles.
Yeah.
I would like to hear the cops discuss how many bodies there were. 2 plus 4 plus 3. There was 9
Sesame
bodies.
Street. Homicide on Sesame Street. 1, 2 bodies in the bathtub.
Does anyone think Sesame Street's getting really, really blue?
One
Like,
head
really
in the
intense?
bucket.
Sesame Street's
One
changed a lot.
hard penis that I put in the mouth of the head.
I think they got a new head writer or something. It's really getting bizarre.
So,
When I come in his brain, it's like he's crying through his eyes.
You know what, Samantha? We're going to turn off Sesame Street now. We're going to put on Elmo. I guess Elmo is on Sesame Street. Dora the Explorer.
well, it's very quick information about the Cleveland Strangler. He worked as a child. His stepfather forced his mother to strip naked in front of him and his siblings and whipped her with electrical cords
I love
until
fashion
she bled.
shows. New
Yeah,
York
yeah.
Fashion Week has been amazing all week. I love to see what they do out there. Is that a Marc Jacobs thing?
He began raping his niece on an almost daily basis for 2 years, starting at the age of 11.
His father did or he did?
He did. In 2007, he began collecting unemployment benefits. He earned his living selling scrap metal. And, of course, the neighborhood complained about the dead body smell coming
Sure.
from this guy's house. And he was a member of an online dating service. This is a fun little tidbit about
my.
him. He was
This
a
is what
member of an online
what is
dating
it?
service where he stated that he was a, quote, master looking for a submissive person to train.
Well, that's another common
Murder. I'm a serial
running theme.
killer.
We hear that a lot. There was another black serial killer named Maury Travis, who also known as the videotape murderer.
Yes.
Who again he operated for how long? He operated for a while, right?
He had his run was relatively lengthy, I thought.
Yeah, it was. It was lengthy enough where the guy. I think he took a cool off period of 3 years.
Yeah.
Yeah, he ran his what was it? It was in 2001. It was pretty what was the final number? I'm sorry, I just lost my.
He
he murdered
killed
up to 17 women.
up to
They're
17,
pretty
yeah.
certain. It was a number of prostitutes that basically went missing, and they would all find them with the same
Right.
thing where they were tied and gagged, they were strangled, and he left a bunch of cum on them, but then no one knew how to It's
Get
such
the
an
goop out.
inexact science. But the main thing what they found is that when they finally investigated the crimes, and they started like looking for these missing prostitutes. They found his house. He was very upset. Basically,
He said, "What are you doing here at 7 o'clock in the morning?"
Yeah.
A little early, I would say, though,
Well, it's because
interrupting a serial killer at that time.
they wrote a piece about because it's in St. Louis, right?
Yeah,
Which
St.
is
Louis.
horrible. And St. Louis is my one. I'm
It's
sorry
always
if you're
one
from
or-
St. Louis.
No, it's always one or two on the murder capitals of the
Yeah.
country, which is so bizarre.
You can see the filth in the air of St. Louis.
Yeah, you really can.
Yeah, because it's all over the breasts of the ladies.
Yes.
But he went out, he basically wrote a letter after one of his victims was profiled in the newspaper. He wrote them a letter being like, basically saying like, you know, there's a lot more where that came from, blah, blah, blah. And sent them a map of another, do you have the actual
He
text?
said, "Nice sob story. I'll tell you where many others are. To prove I'm real, here's directions to number 17." And they went to where the directions marked. There was an X on a map. They went to the spot. They pushed aside weeds, and they found a skeleton.
Yes, but what he did was he sent an Expedia map with his account logged in, and then they found his account, found from the IP address that it came from, and went and just picked him up.
That's even dumber than what BTK did.
Yes,
Sending the disc.
But what they found at the very top is like his apartment was like meticulously clean, they said, and then they went into the basement and it was a fucking torture chamber. And what we
That's
did
where all
not
the fun
find out
happens.
is that they found a basically he had videotaped all of his murders,
Right.
And that's how he became known as a videotape murderer. And we have some transcript from it.
Now, this is actual audio from the
Yes.
videotape.
Right.
I can't hear you what you're
You
saying.
want the
Say it
master?
clear.
You want the master that pleases me to serve you. You are the master that pleases me to serve you.
Stop for
You are the master that pleases me to serve you.
Now you sit your ass down like I said.
And I've got just a little bit more.
Pretty steamy stuff.
Yeah, it's fun to hear, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yep,
Hope
here's
you're not having a bad day at work.
here's a little bit more.
You are now.
This is first kill, number one. First kill is 19 years old. Name, I don't get it. First kill was nice.
He needs to get a sound guy.
Yeah, he needs a grip. Got to hold that boom mic.
Yeah, he says first killed, name, I don't know, and I don't give a fuck.
Yeah, well, he's a lunatic. He's
Yeah.
a real Woody Allen of serial killers, you know? 17 videos.
And he,
Yeah, and they were all, one was labeled My Wedding Story.
yeah.
okay, and then
Yeah.
he got married
Well,
to
the
her.
first part of it was a wedding.
Right.
And then the second part of it was the,
Yeah, and then it was a bunch of Alf. A couple of episodes of Alf
Sure.
he taped over. That was
Elf
rough.
is
and it's
very
like, 'cause
good.
that's like that's hard to get.
Maybe a little home, what is that? No, it's not too, Home Improvement.
Yeah.
Maybe a
He
little
killed,
Home
and
Improvement.
Maury Travis killed himself in prison shortly after being apprehended. He stuffed toilet paper in his nostrils, put a gag in his mouth, pulled a pillowcase over his head, managed to thread a noose made from a sheet through the tiny holes of a mesh vent above his toilet, managed to tie his own hands behind his back, put the noose around his neck, and jumped off the toilet. He left a suicide note declaring he would rather kill himself than face execution or life in prison.
That doesn't make any sense. But I mean, at the same time, that's a very thorough. That's like Home Alone type hijinks.
It's
That's
definitely
like
a lot of
Child's
work.
kind of like work.
Oh, definitely, yeah. Tying up your own hands and hanging yourself like that.
I don't
wonder
have
if he
that
was.
kind of. I don't have that kind of strength.
yeah, if
but
he's
this is another example of a guy like that. So that was very intense. And then another one
Very
is
brutal. You would almost think that guy would have a little bit more fame behind him because
they
those
don't
are relatively
get any
intense
coverage.
murders
None
there.
whatsoever. I mean, we did find out about this guy through an A&E show, so
But-
there's
Right.
some, a
But
little
they
bit.
covered
Well,
everybody
I mean-
because they were
Yeah.
just looking for material.
Right.
True.
You had a room of writers being like, I just got off of Dave's World and I just got done watching it. It's like
Dave's World. I wonder,
I
you
gotta
know,
start writing these episodes of A&E biography.
Yeah.
And just start going through St. Louis newspapers, being like, guys, we got like 50 stories right here, and they're all fucking disgusting.
yeah. I mean, if you're a member of the black community, you have to wonder why these things aren't covered. And I think it's ironic because half of it's not covered because white people are like, we don't want to talk poorly about black people. There are no black serial killers. And the other half is just like, we do not give a fuck. You know, like we are happy to see black prostitutes dead.
But it's
so
right
it's really
there.
difficult. Yeah.
It's right under the surface. It's like another guy, Jake Bird, who was operated during in the 1940s. He confessed to murdering up to 4 women.
45.
Yeah, with an axe. He was known as the Tacoma Axe Killer. But basically they just were like, no, you were just trying to rape people. And so they put him in jail for basically they tried him for rape and the murder of one woman. It was like Beverly Clydid.
Beverly June.
Beverly June.
No, but I do
Clydid.
want to say, why did you Beverly?
Beverly June Clut.
Yeah, and then
How do you spell this?
Bertha
Kludt.
Yeah, that's Klut. Yeah, that's a tough one, actually.
That's the sound of an ass hitting a toilet.
Exactly.
But in German.
Right. Klut.
Yeah, but they found him with brains all over him. And
Oh,
then when
yeah.
they put him to death, he hexed them. And he said, but his final words were, I put the Jake Bird.
Well, I don't know if they all sound that way, Henry. I don't know what this guy's
the third
IQ.
one
Playing a
so
character.
far.
Playing a
Yeah.
character.
Let's.
I'm putting the Jake Bird hex
okay.
on all of you who had anything to do with my being punished. Mark my words, you will die before I do.
Right,
And
right.
allegedly 6 people connected with the trial died. Judge Edward D. Hodge had died of a heart attack. One of the officers who took his first confession, a police officer who took a second confession died, and the court's chief clerk and one of Bird's prison guards. They
They're all
died.
morbidly obese Southerners from the 40s.
They also
I mean,
got
they were-
hexed with a voodoo hex.
That's
and his
true.
lawyer, J.W. Selden, died
Oh.
on the first anniversary of the sentencing.
Oh, very cool. So perhaps the hex is real.
Yeah, he choked on an andouille sausage.
And Dewey sausage, you say?
I'm to declare this is the thickest sausage I've ever had, but I will say I can take it all in one gulp. Don't do it.
Don't, man. Don't do it, man.
I can do it.
JW, I think he is definitely dying.
Don't help him.
He's a lawyer. He knows what to do. He's got to swallow the whole thing if he wants to eat for free. You're going to have to pay for that. He died. What does that mean? Take the money out of his wallet.
Take the money out of his wallet. He's still got a bill to pay.
Yes. He didn't swallow the whole sausage
Delicious
down.
andouille sausage. How could it not slide down your gullet?
Yeah. I always thought the guy was eating a sausage in Texas Chainsaw Massacre. The kid in the wheelchair. For the longest time, I thought there was a sausage in his
It's
mouth.
like
it's a stogie. Cigar.
Oh, it's a stogie?
Yeah,
Oh.
I thought
it was a sausage too.
I don't think it's a. I think it's a cigar.
Guys, where are you guys?
Yeah,
That's my dream role.
it is a perfect.
Yeah,
you need to be in a wheelchair or some
Fat
sort
dude
of
in a
hover
wheelchair
around.
being like haunted by a maniac. Yeah.
Sally!
Sally!
That's great. So this guy killed 45 people, put a hex on everybody. So I guess we
But
can
nobody
add
covered
that.
him.
We can add that to his death toll though. So
Yeah.
we're gonna say 51.
Well, they did an investigation and they were able to positively link him to at least 33 murders.
Sure. So if you do 33, God knows.
Yeah,
the sky's
God
the limit.
knows.
So do we want to get into our first big papa?
Let's get into the first big pop
do
up,
it.
and this is without a doubt the biggest example of the media not covering serial killings within the black community. From the early 1980s until 2007, it is believed that there were no less than 5 serial killers operating in South Los Angeles.
It's so intense to me. The idea that what did we say? 53 murders
53
happened?
murders.
That's nuts.
5
It's
serial
53 committed
killers
by 5 people.
Well, and there's one that we don't even know.
It was like
who
the
it is.
Avengers.
Right.
They were
And
out
look-
there just fucking around. They were just
Yeah.
it was hunting season.
Yeah,
Yeah,
There's
the
this
Black
guy-
Avengers.
There's this guy,
The
Michael
Avengers.
Michael Hughes.
That works.
I don't know.
You're not gonna give it to me?
Blavengers?
Blavengers.
Blavengers. Just sounds like Jerry Lewis.
Michael
Just like a
Hughes.
fat ragtag Avengers.
He sold Christmas trees out near LAX.
Can't trust him.
Yeah, he killed.
I got big Christmas trees. I got tiny Christmas. You come here, I'll stab you.
yeah.
Something
be
about
so
that
dangerous.
guy. He's not really in the spirit of the holidays, is
He
he?
just keeps waving a machete around. He's got a blood-soaked Santa hat.
It's kind of weird. Well, I guess we'll just buy a couple of trees and get out of here.
I love LA.
He killed 7 women between 1986 and 1993. There was Chester Turner, who killed 10 women between 1987 and 1998. Funny thing about Chester Turner is that every story that I read about him described him as a one-time pizza delivery man.
Wow, well, that's a
Every
very good
single
job.
one.
And if that
Yeah,
doesn't
because-
terrify you, I don't know what else does. The idea of a
exactly.
serial killer that is a delivery man.
Because there's a bunch of people who just walk all around being like, Chester, don't you have a job? They don't have somewhere to go. And he's like, I was a pizza delivery man once.
Oh, yes, interesting. So I think he just went
But
and
now I just stab and I stab and I stab. All right, that's enough, Chester.
All
You,
right.
you get along now. I love reaching out to you urban youths.
I think he's
I'm
going to
gonna
be
go
okay.
back to my job being a dentist and a librarian.
A dentist and a
Milky
librarian.
Renderson.
The two whitest possible jobs.
And they also linked him to 11 other murders. All of these guys have more murders linked to them that they weren't able to prove. Most of the killings took place between a 30-block stretch south from Slauson Avenue down to Figueroa Street.
All the way
drove
from
down there
Figueroa
once.
Street to Slauson Avenue.
I will say that I have never been so afraid of being. I was in my car driving through the neighborhood, and it was literally like. Middle of the day, driving, a dude was like crouched behind a garbage can, and he kept like popping his head up, going like, like looking at me. I was like,
Right.
Are you hiding? The fact that you are so bad at hiding shows me how dangerous you are.
That is scary when someone's bad at it. When you see them hiding,
Well, yeah,
it's
because
not good.
it's like cartoonishly, like he's got like a bush over his head, then he keeps on looking, and he's got the scariest looking dude on the
I think
face of
that
the planet.
bush is like following the
I
car.
think that Bush has got like a do-rag on, and he wants to like
Weird. Is
take
that
me
Bush
away from me.
smoking a huge joint right now?
And then there was Louis Crane, who killed 5. He was a construction worker. He was a guy that another guy that his defense attorneys. He had an IQ of 69. His defense attorney said he was too dumb to kill anyone. That was their
You can be
only
very
defense.
dumb and kill.
Oh,
I just know that when I see them and they go, oh, they're making screaming noises, and I know that you put the hand on the mouth until they start screaming.
Well, as you can see, he's clearly too dumb to kill. So,
And
we're
then
gonna let him go
break
free.
their hands, and then I say, crap for me, crap for me.
All right. As a matter of fact, can I have a different case?
I gotta say that this is probably the most inappropriate case I've ever been on.
Yeah.
And then
He's
finally,
too dumb to die. Is that a defense? I feel
Well,
like that
we've
is a
decided
defense.
to, in accordance to his intelligence, we've decided the perfect mode of execution is to put his head on an anvil and hit it with a giant cartoony mallet.
That's great. That sounds fun.
And then finally, the biggest one, the one that we all know about, originally called the Strawberry Murders.
That's nice.
They call them by police because strawberries was a term that police used for women who trade sex for drugs.
Okay.
Cool.
Lonnie Franklin, the Grim Sleeper.
The Grim Sleeper.
The killing began on a warm August evening in 1985 at a desperate point in U.S. urban history, a time filled with PCP rages and crack wars. Los Angeles' murder rate had
What's just
soared
worse, though?
to
What
an
is worse than
all-time
just
high.
straight serial killing? Besides the term PCP crazes.
Yeah.
Like, to me, that is horrifying. There's a
Yeah.
bunch of people just doing it, just being like, it's like the 1960s, but for PCP.
It's a PCP rage. Come on down. Local 76.
We got some PCP. We're gonna do some where everybody's getting. Well, I just dropped it. Everyone's getting dip-its.
Yeah, dip-its
We're gonna do
or
some
Molly.
dip-its. Some,
Yeah. Right.
I was talking about the candy dip-it.
Oh, the candy.
Red vines,
Ah,
just
yes.
PCP and candy.
Right.
Amid the bloodshed during a 3-year period, 7 young women and 1 man were killed and left in alleyways and dumpsters.
He fell down an empty elevator shaft. So
And now, but he was also killing men.
He only killed 1 man.
Oh, he only killed 1 man.
Yeah, he only
but
killed
up to
one.
this point, I think he's the first black serial killer that we've discussed that's killed any man.
He only killed 1 man, but the reason why he killed the man was because it was supposed that the man found out about the killings.
Yes.
That he was the
What's
guy
the reason
that
to kill him?
discovered it. Of course, the Grim Sleeper, Lonnie Franklin. He was a guy that operated from 1985 until 2007.
That's
these guys have
quite a run.
crazy longevity. Like some of these guys, it's crazy.
Yeah.
how
Yeah.
long they operate in anonymous, especially in an environment like this, though.
Well, the thing is about Lonnie Franklin
20
is that
years.
he was operating exclusively within his own neighborhood. Like,
God
I mean,
damn.
So just like a 3-block radius or
a
so?
lot of these. No, it's like a 10, 15 block
Okay.
radius.
You gotta
but-
look out for each other.
A lot of these guys-
like, you gotta band together. You gotta stop. Like, it's killing.
I mean, I'm sure at some point somebody came up to him and was just like, have you heard about all the missing girls? He's like, no, I can't believe it. That's awful.
Yeah.
I love women.
I love women. I love
would
it
never
when they're
stab
just
a woman.
lying there, you know?
Yeah.
He does nothing better when you're sitting alone in a living room with a woman and she's just lying there silent and you're just like, yeah!
All
now
right,
the
well-
TV comes on, yeah!
Well, here's the flyer, and just keep an ear out. Thank you.
yeah!
I think we need to investigate
Silent
Lonnie's
women
house.
are the best women! Well, I'll be seeing you. I gotta get some milk.
All right.
Well, the Grim Sleeper's MO was to kidnap
Perfect.
women, rape them, take a Polaroid photograph of them,
Sure.
and then shoot them in the chest with a 25 caliber gun.
And that's
Which,
where
again,
Outkast came up with that song, Shake It Like a Polaroid Picture.
Yes, exactly.
Is it?
I don't know, but it's
I
possible.
don't know. Let's send them an email.
Yeah.
Shan't we?
Yeah.
Tweet at
Outcast
them.
at mindspring.net.
Yeah.
And Lonnie Franklin murdered 8 women, 7 women and 1 man before
dude.
finally in 1988 victim number 9 was able to get away from Lonnie Franklin, and this is how we know his MO, because she picked him up. He picked her up. He was a very charming guy driving an orange Pinto.
That's one of the best colors
classy
for a
star,
Pinto.
classy.
Very classy. He picked her up and he said, "Hey, I'm going to a very charming guy." She described him as
I'm going to a Charleston competition. I hope you come along with me and enjoy some classic beverage iced tea.
That's great. Of
she
course, they'll
dis-
get in your car.
She described him as kinda geeky but very charming.
Okay.
And so he said,
Like
"All right."
a young Bill Gates.
Yes. Well, Bill Gates might have more blood in his hands, but
So he
Political.
let's get there.
a little. Let's get political, guys. So he picks her up. He says, "We're going to a party." He knocks her out.
He did sort of do the Charleston thing.
Slap, 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 slap.
I don't remember that part of the song.
So he rapes her. He
sure.
knocks her out. She wakes up when he takes the Polaroid. The flash wakes her up.
Okay.
And she is able to fucking wake up and start begging for her life. And somehow, this had never happened to him before. At least as far as we know, because
Right.
that's the only thing.
me not to do it.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing in his head. It was like, well, she's just sleeping there. She loves it. Everyone
It really is the only thing that people can figure out as to why he let her go.
Is the
just
first
let her
person to
go?
beg
Just
for
let her go.
Yeah.
It was the first time, victim number 9, he let her go, and here is the fucked up thing about it. He let her go, and he was doing this on his street, in his car.
Right.
On his own street, in his own car, doing all of this shit. He dumped her out, and she is, after being raped, after being knocked out, after being shot, because
Yeah.
he also shot her. That's how they tied it back, because it was the same caliber of bullet that was lodged within her chest. After all this, she remembered where she was when she got dumped out of the car. She remembered the exact street. She took the cops to his exact street, and they did a month-long stakeout 3 doors down from his house.
Really? And they couldn't find
Missed
him.
him completely because they weren't looking at his house. They were looking 3 doors down. As far as they knew, there's not even a record of them talking to Lonnie Franklin during this entire
It's
time.
almost comedic.
That's
It is
retarded.
almost. I mean, that is ridiculous.
Yeah,
It's like the hot dog squad.
Exactly. I was going to say Detective Popcorn needed to be on that case.
Yeah,
That's
and,
for sure.
And speaking of dumbass fucking task force names, the task force that was assigned to the Grim Sleeper case was actually pretty badass. Task Force 800.
oh, okay. That sounds kind of
Task
fun.
Force 800.
I like
17-6.
Task Force
Yeah.
800.
Yeah, it's a pretty badass name. I mean, they got the entire wrong house. I mean, I just feel bad for the guy they were staking out, who's just like,
Well, yeah,
hey,
it was
guys,
probably
didn't
just
kill
some
anybody.
naked woman who'd like
Yeah.
get dressed in one
Oh,
bedroom with
yeah,
her. Everything be like,
yeah.
oh yeah, check out them knockers,
Nice.
boys.
Nice. Let's stake out for another month.
On that, like,
so excited to see so many delicious popcorn kernels. No, to take
Are
a
you-
popcorn, you,
yeah,
gotta
you-
check out the tits to the second floor window. Snow caps are all I need to be tantalized.
I almost get the feeling Detective Popcorn is he's just like not one of the guys.
Hey, Sergeant Wilkerson, you ever wonder what it would be like to have red vines for legs,
I'm looking at the tits right now there, Detective.
jerky for hair?
Jerky for hair.
Absolutely scrumptious. Loving being delicious.
Hey, coffee duty, you're it, Detective Popcorn. Why don't you just go grab us some coffee there? And,
Oh, I spilled it inside myself. I'm melting!
oh, shit.
I'm melting!
All right, get the mop, boy.
We'll never solve this case.
God damn it.
Look at them brown nipples that woman's got in that second floor window.
Beautiful brown nipples.
beautiful brown nipples.
Yes.
So it's at this point, after this woman is...
Henry is rock hard right now, by the way. Absolutely engorged.
I just wouldn't rub it. I have a pile of sponges that I put a wig on that I rub myself on.
Oh, that's normal. Yeah.
Yeah,
very
No,
good.
everybody does that.
It's my outlet.
No, you're not crazy.
So it's after this point that the man has the action that earns him his title, the Grim Sleeper, because after this woman escapes, he takes a 13-year hiatus.
I mean, he felt that bad about murdering all these women.
Well, he
also must have been terrified.
I think he was terrified. I think it was the fact that he let her go, plus the stakeout three doors from his house that told him maybe I should cool it.
So she knew exactly where she was when she got dropped off, but she couldn't ID. Did he wear a mask or something?
I mean, she just knew that he was an average-looking black guy.
She got beat up pretty bad.
Yeah.
Your brain gets pretty warped when you get beat up pretty bad.
Yeah, especially, I mean, and after being shot and the trauma of a rape, all of that, like she wasn't able to really talk to the sketch artist all that well.
Yeah. I'm sure the sketch artist already heard like black dude and just like had one printed up. Just like, I got 30 of those back here.
Which one, round head or skinny head?
Skinny head.
I got 9 of these.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, absolutely, of course. Oh yeah,
Definitely.
So he comes back
that'll
in
cover you.
Afro shaved. Okay, we got an afro. Perfect. Put it on there.
He comes back in 2002 with the murder of young Princess Berthomew.
Princess Berthomew. How did he ever kill Princess Berthomew? And where was Andre the Giant to protect her? This is inconceivable.
So he kills 2 more women.
I love her. Okay, and Princess Berthomew is the first one.
Yeah, he kills 2 more women.
I mean, the name like that.
Oh,
I've never heard
Princess Berthomew.
Yeah.
Okay.
Move on from Princess Berthomew.
I mean, I just never heard such a name.
It just sounds like a reptilian.
It really does.
It really does, yes. Princess Berthomew.
Yeah. It's a shocking name to hear. Anyway.
And he kills 2 more women, and this entire time he's been leaving DNA evidence all over. You know why? Because he likes to suck on them titties.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Man.
all of the titties of all of these women. Because he wasn't burying any of these women. He wasn't putting them in any special place. He was just dumping them out of his car.
Sure.
In vacant lots and alleyways.
That's
just
really
fucking
common too.
throw
When they
'em
just
out.
they chop up the bodies and they just leave them. Like you saw the same thing with Maury Travis. A bunch of people they bind the bodies and they just leave them in like a shallow place.
Yeah,
but
right.
nobody fucking finds them.
Yeah, nobody finds him. And this guy, and so he it kills 3 more women, and they start doing this thing in LA called partial or familial DNA analysis.
Okay.
And that way, what they do is they cross-reference DNA that they find on crime scenes to felons that are in the system, and they got a hit on Lonnie's son. So they got like a familial DNA.
So his son was committing crimes.
That's what I'm saying. Is that this is the only one that I know of that was actually solved by through complete police work. Fucking Louis Crane, you know how he got caught? He was pushing one of his victims' bodies down the street in a fucking shopping cart.
Oh man,
It's all
horrifying.
accidental.
Hey,
shit.
where'd you buy that body at? I've been looking for one of those.
It's Halloween.
All right.
They trace all this back to Lonnie Franklin, and how they get him is they put they put together like a fake pizzeria. With like,
this seems elaborate. Just go arrest the fucking guy.
well, they had to get his DNA somehow, so they staff an entire pizzeria.
Oh, I heard
full,
this.
That
is
is
great.
Yeah,
ridiculous.
they staff a pizzeria full of cops, and they make sure they're like, "Hey, you want a Diet Coke? You should probably have a Diet Coke."
Diet Coke is great this time of year.
Why?
Yeah, well, my name's Lonnie. It's free Diet Coke for Lonnie's Wednesdays, so
Isn't
I'm
that
gonna come on down. Yeah.
And so
It's the best, worst day of his life.
They get a Diet Coke. They get his DNA sample from the Diet Coke. They match it to the saliva. And this story had no real coverage in the press until LA Weekly did a big expose on it in 2008. And
Right.
that's when the cops finally got on it and finally started to get this case
And that
solved.
little pizza chain turned into Godfather's Pizza, owned by Herman Cain himself.
And Lonnie Franklin still hasn't gone to trial.
Really?
He was captured 3 years ago. Still hasn't gone to trial.
He's just hanging out,
He's just hanging out. Yeah.
That's interesting.
just regretting that pizza like I do when I have pizza. But that's
Sort
just
of.
you know.
Yeah. No one's swabbing for your DNA quite yet.
I mean,
I'm sure
you know,
they will be soon.
for fans of mine.
yes.
You know how
Of
it
course.
is. Someone
Naturally.
said they made a copy of one of my ears in a petri dish.
Oh, that's exciting.
Oh yeah, they just carved a bunch of my DNA off of old, burrito tinfoil. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and they made a whole penis out of it.
You gotta stop licking that burrito tinfoil
I
so
just
much.
hate seeing them. That guy keeps sending me pictures of a petri dish with an exact replica of my penis, and he's just sucking on it, saying,
Right.
"Oh, smoking my favorite pipe."
Well, I'm sure he loves it. All right, so we have the Grim Sleeper here, and he's pretty much tops the list.
Well, that was just a part of like a whole family of some of the most of intense serial killer activity.
Yeah.
I guess we can start to begin then another big bad boy
Yeah.
if we'd like to. Do we have enough time?
Yeah.
And start with the Mr. DC sniper, John Muhammad.
Oh, this guy's now. This is what I was wondering though. Does he classify as a serial killer or a spree killer?
I mean, he is
I think it's
more
up
of
in
a
the air.
spree killer. I just wanted to cover him in terms of just the fact that he. Very interesting what he did. He caused true terror.
Absolutely,
He
the definition of
shut
terror.
down the entire city. I forgot his final murder count was 10.
Yeah, 10.
It was also just the
10 convicted.
10 convicted.
They linked him to a ton of murders across the entire United States.
Right. And again, going back to the reasons why most black serial killers are never caught. The ID on this guy, everyone thought it was a white guy in their mid-30s. You know?
Oh, yeah,
And
and that was
so he was
everything-
just cruising around. I mean, no one even came close to suspecting a black guy for these DC
Because it was
sniper
obviously
situations.
a guy. It was obviously a guy with military training. He was doing it exactly the right way, technically. And it was in October 2002. It happened over 3 weeks. Basically, he had total control of the city.
Yep.
They had no idea basically where he was coming from, how he was shooting anybody. The first thing that they found was basically there was no evidence.
None
This guy
whatsoever.
and they were like, because you
Yeah.
know the big postulation is that he's driving around in a car. That's what they're trying to figure out. It's like when they find out, it's like, well, he's not camped anywhere. He's in a car. He's shooting from a car and moving, right?
Right. Yeah.
And maybe there's more than one shooter. That's like the first inkling they had.
Killed 5 people in one day.
One day.
5 in one day.
And then
Oh, wow.
Basically, the first piece of evidence they found, they did a gigantic walk around. Once he shot a kid. I forgot the name of the child that he shot.
And he shot men, women, and children, obviously.
Yes.
He shot men, women. He only shot one minor, the 13-year-old kid.
Yes, and
Okay.
he survived. But that was the idea of then he was going to shut down schools. And so what he did was he left his calling card was a death tarot card that said, "Call me God," to the police. And it was basically written, "Do not share this with reporters," because he wanted to have one-on-one conversation with the police.
Right.
The murders continued for a little bit, and then he called in 911 to tell them his plan himself. Well, actually, it turned out to not be him. It turned out to be his young friend, his sort of
apprentice.
apprentice, Lee Boyd Malvo. And do we have the call ready to go?
Yes,
this is
we
the call
do.
he made to the police.
And this didn't get to the police until much later because
Because
there were
he-
so many tips being called into the hotline that this just got completely lost in the shuffle, as did the phone call that ended up leading them to John Muhammad, one of his old friends.
Okay.
So yeah, all of this stuff just got lost, but this is the phone call.
Bradshaw City Police, love calls for signs recorded.
Good morning. Don't say anything, just listen. Where are the people that are causing the killing in your area? Look on the tarot card. It says, "Call me God."
Sir, I need to
Get your
refer you
people-
to that Montgomery County Police hotline. We're not investigating a crime. You like the number?
Dude, that's hilarious.
she didn't even help.
No.
That is so.
It's like,
fu-
yeah,
what
sir,
do I
you
have
have
to
the
do
wrong
around
number.
here to get the police's attention? I mean, isn't it ironic that a black guy's like, "Cops, find me," and for the first
Yeah.
time they're like, "Oh no, you're fine."
I mean, he was smart about it by trying to get actually into the police because they had released most of the actual evidence that they had and trying to figure out who this guy was. The Zodiac or the tarot card, they weren't supposed to release that to the press. It actually leaked to the press.
Okay.
And this guy knew of like the police activity of not releasing every single detail they have to weed out false confessions and all
Right.
that. So he knew that like if he said tarot card, they would know what he was talking about. They would know that they were actually telling the truth.
They
if
were telling
who
you that
said
they were the guys. Yeah. And
Right.
so basically that sort of continued on him, and then it bounced from just it was in Washington, D.C., that's where it started, and then it moved to Maryland, and then the idea was, basically what you find out after, here's like a sort of a example of like people that were shot. It's kind of nuts, because it started on August 1st. There was John Guieta was changing a tire in a parking lot in Hammond, Louisiana,
right.
and was shot in the neck by Malvo, which is like the first thing. It's been a long going trial. It was literally months long.
Yeah.
And basically after once they finally caught him, which was the exact way they caught him was
The
kind of
exact way they caught him is they were able to trace everything to this blue sedan.
Yes.
Through the tip that one of his buddies, he was a Gulf War veteran, one of his buddies that he served in the Gulf War with, called them up and said, this sounds like this guy, this sounds like his MO, so they were able to trace everything to this blue sedan. So they threw out the license plate number. They thought, like, this is definitely our guy, this is definitely who we're looking for. And a trucker, some guy that was driving late at night, he's heard it on the radio, he saw the license plate right in front of him. He called the cops, he followed the blue sedan, and he said, all right, they're parked in this rest area, and the cops came and busted them. They were asleep in the car.
Yeah, they got the two of them, and then of course it revealed that they're black and Muslim, which is also it's very intense in the fact because there's also a year after September 11th, so people were really fucked up already.
Oh, it was intense, yeah.
Yeah, so it was very intense, and then but then when it kind of boils down to,
I don't know if they labeled this an act of terrorism or not.
It's not an act of terrorism.
They did end up labeling it.
Yeah, they tried. They framed it.
Yeah, he got executed.
He got executed. Yeah. He did because basically Lee Boyd Malvo totally flipped on him and explained.
Well, he was a young kid who was brainwashed.
17.
But what you find out is, it turned out to all be sort of a smokescreen because John Muhammad, who was the main sort of the inspiration for the killings, was basically trying to accidentally kill his ex-wife. And this led me to then research. I was like, this was all about, like, it was kind of what they said about the Zodiac, where it's like maybe it was a bunch of murders to cover up one hit.
Yeah.
Where it was like he was trying to shoot a bunch of people in order to shoot his ex-wife, but then, I mean, the whole plan
must have really
sort of
loved her.
fell apart. But
no, the whole thing, the reason why he wanted to kill her was because he believed that she had estranged him from his children, which I believe is the most extreme case of, I just want my kids back.
I want my kids
sort of a
back.
Taken situation,
Give
I
me
guess.
back
Yeah,
my son. But it's like he also then made me research how many relationships end in homicide.
right. How many we got?
17% of relationships.
No, that
end in
can't be
homicide.
right. 17% of all relationships.
Your girlfriend or your boyfriend's gonna murder you.
Most likely.
I'm just gonna say that out loud. Is that they're gonna get you when you go to sleep? That's when the fucking thinking starts. That's when the clock starts fucking whirring in their head.
This is all going to be used against you on trial.
I'm just saying.
Well, the majority of murders are crimes of passion.
Yeah, I know
I ain't
that.
killing
I just can't. 17% seems like a relatively high number for the majority of
Are
the
you
end
sure
of
it isn't
relationships.
70% of all murders are between people in relationships?
Let's just say I smoked a lot of weed.
Let's just say that out of your dick pipe.
But when Lee Boyd Malvo came for, basically he totally flipped on him to explain like what happened to him, like basically saying like he became like a father figure.
Right.
John Muhammad was like a father figure to him, and basically blew up his entire fucking spot by talking about what his plan was. And apparently what this started as it was a 3-phase plan. And phase 1 consisted of meticulously planning, mapping, and practicing their locations around the D.C. area. This way, after each shooting, they would be able to quickly leave the area on a predetermined path and move on to the next location.
Mm-hmm.
John Allen Muhammad's goal in phase 1 was to kill 6 white people a day for 30 days, 180 per month. And then basically...
in just 2 small metro areas.
Yes, and it's like Malvo went to describe how phase 1 did not go as planned due to it was heavy traffic and, you know...
It's just tough to
Night
find a
Court
white guy
was on.
sometimes.
You have to something
Yeah.
like we had to sat and watch. It was like, oh, that was on a Night Court. You're gonna watch
And
it.
how they were able to get away with this so easily was that the blue sedan, they had taken out the back seat of it, and one person would drive, and the other person would stick the butt of it. It was a
Right.
Bushmaster AR-15, same one that Adam Lanza used at Sandy Hook,
All right.
and it had a holographic sight on it.
For your playing cards out there, if you're writing down stats.
If you're all writing down AR-15 stats, it's a big one in the killing community. And they had a hole that they had drilled in the back. They would just put the barrel through and just poof, poof.
Yes.
And it worked magic.
So phase 2 was meant to be moved up to Baltimore. Malvo described how this phase was close to being implemented, but it never was carried out. Phase 2 would begin with the killing of a pregnant woman with a shot to the abdomen, and then next was they were supposed to shoot a Baltimore City cop and then try to blow up the funeral to nail as many cops as possible.
Yeah, and then blow up the funeral again when the ambulances showed up.
And then phase 3 is the fucking craziest thing, which was to extort millions of dollars from the United States government and then finance a larger plan to travel north into Canada, stop along the way in YMCAs and orphanages, recruiting young men to be a part of his gigantic army against America.
And you got to stop at a quick trip and get your beef jerky and your sodas.
Oh, yeah, of course. I mean, that's what's going to be a hassle, stopping to go to the bathroom every 15 minutes.
Right.
Because everybody knows that orphans have tiny bladders.
Yeah.
That's why their parents give them up.
Is that the reason? Not for financial reasons?
At the
or
same
lack
time,
of love?
orphans are not team players. That's why they've been moved to free agent status.
That's what you're calling a child who is no longer wanted by their parents, a free agent? Jesus Christ.
It's like, are they going to be able to bring their talents to South Beach? I don't know.
Right,
Will they
right.
be able to mesh in society? I don't know. You're an orphan now, so you are. I mean, I can't trust you. You've got pickpocket fingers.
Pickpocket
All right?
fingers.
And you're addicted to porridge.
Porridge? That's all they have to eat.
That's what orphans do.
All right, do we have time?
Bizarre idea of what an orphan is.
It's 2:40. Do we have time to cover the final one that we talked
I
about?
feel like we should just maybe do a whole episode on it.
I think we can do a whole episode
Let's
on
do
this because
that.
I want to find a book on this and I want to read about this and I want to know everything about this.
So we
is
should just go ahead and
fascinating.
mention that the next episode, like we will do an whole episode totally devoted to the zebra killings.
Zebra killings are some of the most interesting killings of all time.
It's absolutely compelling. It shut down San Francisco. It's very intense. So
right on
we
the
don't-
heels of Zodiac.
So we don't even want to even start it because that would cheat you onto some of the gory details. I will say, don't research Death Angels. Don't research Death Angels Muslim cult because you will get. I'm flagged. I know for a fact I'm flagged.
You're big. We're all big time flagged. I kind of think sometimes that we've been flagged so many times that we've been unflagged.
Why
We're
would we-
unflagged.
When it comes down to it, it's like you look at everything. You watch me do that, and then put out an internet comedy video. How are you going to take me seriously?
Yeah,
Again,
that's-
hide in plain sight.
Hide in plain
Ultimate
sight.
terror
Right.
cell. This guy right here.
So that's your big idea is to get famous and then you start to kill.
Well, yeah. Super famous comedian goes on murder spree.
Right. It does sound
Gets
fun.
rallies people
Yeah.
behind him.
And the zebra killings are another prime example of there hasn't been a movie being made. There hasn't been a movie
I
made
cannot
about it
believe there's not been a movie
because I'm
been
telling
made
you because
about
it's like white producers are just like, well, we can't talk.
Yeah,
We
can't
cannot.
do that.
We're about to head into a big summer season.
That's
I
right.
don't think we can start the race war right now.
Right.
Let's
Only white people can be racist. Not
we
black
can
people.
start a race war in March, and then we'll be back to Oscar season by September.
Right.
And by the way, there is a new movie coming out. There is a movie out about the Beltway snipers called Blue Sedan, and I saw a trailer for it today. It looks fucking fantastic.
Oh, interesting.
Mos Def is in it.
No, he's not.
Well, he could be though. You never
Isaiah
know.
Washington is in.
Isaiah
he's great.
Washington.
It's gonna be great.
Yeah, very good. All right, so let's just okay. So we got Leroy. He did something.
Lee Boyd Malvo.
Lee Boy Melva.
Lonnie Franklin.
I would
Lonnie
say that's the
Franklin.
only
Louis
racist
Crane.
thing we've said today.
Yeah.
Is what you just said.
Why? This is a mistake on the name.
One of these. I don't know. One of these puffy heads.
Puffy heads. I'm not trying to put pins in them. I'm just trying to give a recap of the black serial killers so people can go out there and research them.
You just have to research.
Re-listen to the episode, I guess.
Yeah, the DC sniper stuff's fun. And then I don't know.
My favorite thing about the DC sniper is that he called the police and told them to call a press conference and say, like, we've got him like a noose on a duck.
Yeah, and it was like, what
Noose
did he-
on a duck.
That's how they know that they were listening to him. Is that they would say duck and a noose. or noose on a
we've
duck,
got him.
yeah.
We've got him like a duck and a noose.
Which is
Well, that's
retarded.
not going to sound very good coming from a white cop's mouth.
But there's also a story of his former roommate was like when all the killings was happening. He was just like, I bet John's doing this.
Yeah.
Can you imagine that? Sitting around because we've all
Yeah.
had sort of creepy roommates, but it's like it gets to a point where it's like, I bet Anthony did this. It's like
Isn't
he'd
that
always eat my
interesting?
SpaghettiOs, and then there was always muffled screams coming from his
Right.
room, But he kept saying it was his video games.
Well,
When
a
you
big
see your
part
buddy on a commercial, you're like, oh, look at that.
looks like a big part of the movie is about his relationship with that roommate.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Blue
just
Sedan.
him.
Joey
Joey
Lawrence-
You use the hot water, and you're leaving bullet casings in the bathtub.
You know, that's where you put them.
Yeah.
That's fine. All right. Well, that's a little intro, a long intro, I suppose, to black serial killers. On the next episode or a future episode, we'll talk about the zebra killings.
Yeah, hail Satan.
Algene.
And hail yourself.
Hail me.
Hail you.
I'm the one.
You're not. What are you, that
Let's
Pro
jazz us outta
Bowler?
here.
Oh, we're gonna jazz ourselves
Jazz
right
it
out of this episode.
Princess.
All right, I'm gonna Charleston my way always down to City Hall, where
Who's
I'm gonna
gone?
vote for nobody for mayor.
Nobody.
They're all terrible candidates here in New York City.
I got my raggedy jazz suit on.
You look good.
I never drink water, only bathtub gin.
Wow.